Well, welcome. Good morning. Here we continue our dialogue about the evolution of consciousness of our species, and wanted to really focus today again on this period. I mentioned it briefly in our first session, but this time between 1965 and 1972, in my mind, was really critical. It was this tipping point, I guess you'd call it, where there, for whatever reason, there's an opening, a portal opens through which, a high concentration of this energetic principle expresses itself. And there are so many individuals on the planet during this time, and I'll mention a few. Alan Watts was in his final years. He passed in 1973. Carlfried Graf Durkheim was on the planet. Joseph Campbell was on the planet. M. Scott Peck. His major book would come out, Choim Trungpa. Just so many, and so many that would influence me personally. Dr. David Hawkins, Terence McKenna, Byron Katie, Eckhart Tolle. The Tao of Physics was published in 1975. Osho was entertaining people with his shenanigans, like I had mentioned before, because of the influence of the Beatles. Many of these Eastern teachers, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, Choim Trungpa, Thich Nhat Hanh, and Choim Trungpa, Osho. Ram Dass published his book Be Here Now in 1971. It was just this very ripe time that we had created collectively. We had created this portal that opened, and specifically what was happening was Helen Schucman and Bill Thetford were scribing A Course in Miracles. And I really believe that A Course in Miracles is pivotal to our understanding of this evolution. So the two things, the two critical things that were happening between 1965 and 72 were the influence, because of the Beatles, Eastern philosophy becoming much more popular in the West. So this merging of East and West. Remember, this is all about the Tao, all about the two parts coming together. Okay, so this influence of the East merging with the West. It's very important that the East came to the West. Westerners had often gone to ashrams in the East, but the whole point was East coming to the West. Just like now, the whole point is North America coming to South America, the eagle flying with the condor. These are very, very important things to see the merging of elements together. Okay, so we're talking about a global phenomenon, and hopefully this will become more and more clear to you as we progress with this study of our evolution. Very clear that there's this integration. Okay, so what A Course in Miracles was doing was basically redoing Christianity. Jesus was coming back to clear up all of the misunderstanding of his teaching 2,000 plus years ago. And it's, very, very key to understanding truly what A Course in Miracles is. And like I've shared before, it was my devotion for 25 years. And A Course in Miracles was clearly telling me, Jesus was clearly telling me in no uncertain language that I, like him, was here, we share a function of manifesting this Christ mind, this bright light. The only lessons repeated 5 times in the 365 lessons in the workbook of A Course in Miracles is, I am the light of the world. Okay, so this phrase, I am, is so powerful. This is what we are being called to speak, to say, to be, to manifest fully this light. This is the second coming, right? The second coming of the Christ, but it is, in Carolyn Mace's language, 1,000 points of light around the globe, not one avatar. No special teachers, right? This whole idea that I mentioned before, Theosophical Society, there would be this world teacher. No, that's not true. There's no second coming of Jesus. There's no world teacher. It's us, the 1,000 points of light, that we would come together with a common language that transcends all religions, all paths. Okay, there's only one path. There's only one path. You have to take away the forms that appear to make many paths and just see the one thing. Clearly stated in A Course in Miracles, the final benediction, where he's saying, through you is ushered in a world unseen, unheard, yet truly there. We are called to usher in reality, to be the portal, to be the bridge between heaven and earth, to be the portal through which this unmanifested, as Eckhart Tolle later in 1997 would put in his remarkable book, The Power of Now. And the most remarkable thing, well, two remarkable things that he did in this book. He basically rephrased Carl Fried Graf Durkheim, okay? I think Carl Fried Graf Durkheim was his mentor, right? Another German. We'll get into Durkheim more in the future, but Durkheim had brilliantly expressed our function, our very simple function, which was to be a portal through which the unmanifested would manifest in the world. Okay? Durkheim was still using language more of like the divine and all of that. So one of Eckhart's brilliant additions to this common evolution of truth, okay, truth being expressed, is that he took God, the divine, he took these words out. He would not use the word love a whole lot. He basically said that by naming God the unmanifested, I remember when I read that, I was like, that's brilliant. That's so precise. It's so helpful to understand how the unmanifested needs manifestors, right? The unmanifested cannot manifest without a manifester. So in my world, I am the manifester of the unmanifested. And in your world, you are it. Okay, this is the simple, radiant truth that is so powerful to realize what your function is, how important your function is. Okay, if you truly decide to become a part of this evolutionary thrust that we are in right now, you do so by agreeing, saying yes to your function and doing it to the best of your ability. Doesn't matter, there's no right or wrong way to do it, because what you're simply doing, okay, again, using Eckhart's language, for a new earth is that you're manifesting a baseline of acceptance. Okay, it's a neutral line. You're not going below acceptance into negativity. But ideally, you're vibrating at a higher level of appreciation or gratitude. Okay, so Eckhart said there's acceptance, appreciation, and enthusiasm is the highest state. So to be in your enthusiasm, which means to be in a high state of creativity. Okay, you are literally co-creating the world with me, with other points of light. We are creating this new earth. We are building this new earth. We are birthing this new earth. We are the doulas through which this birth is happening. Okay, so this is all starting 1965 to 1972. By the end of this time portal, 7 years, everything was brought in. Everything that would be used today was brought in. Eckhart's awakening, Byron Katie's awakening, pretty much everybody who was a player, like I mentioned before, Buckminster Fuller was in his final days, Alan Watts, Durkheim. Everybody would be inspired to give their greatest peace, okay, to us. Okay, I was still quite young. I was just an avid student, just absorbing all of this. I didn't have anything yet to give except for my willingness, right, which I gave in 1974. I said yes to this voice. And I imagine I had said yes even probably in 1970 when I made a radical split from my family, from the world as I knew it, and things started in motion. So I was a part of this from the very beginning. When this was happening, I was open. I was like, okay, I'm opening my eyes, opening my ears, listening, paying attention. Okay, so I wouldn't personally get involved in A Course in Miracles until 1986, but I was deeply involved in this process, what was coming through. You know, when I first heard of Alan Watts and read some of his books, I think a book that he wrote in 1959, okay, The Wisdom of Insecurity. It was an amazing thing for me. And I remember because of that book, because of his writing, I chose to go to the university in San Francisco that he had helped create with Haridas Chaudhuri, the California Institute of Asian Studies, which is now the California Institute of Integral Studies. Again, this idea of integrating East and West, taking the highest wisdom on the planet, which arose in the East a long, long time ago. You know, what touched me the most, more deeply than anything, and stayed with me all of my life, is the Taoist, Tao Te Ching, the Taoist treatise that is a beautiful, tiny, short set of commentaries. Full circle. Here we're coming full circle. You know, this was 5,000 to 6,000 years ago. The teachings that were coming through in a time when the portal was wide open. Okay, we go through these cycles. The cycles is basically a 15,000-year cycle. So we're just coming through the darkest time, okay, 2012 time, week zero, halfway through the cycle, where everything comes to a stop and things begin again. That's what's happening now. We are being called to birth this new earth, having experienced this time portal where seeds were planted that would germinate and 50 years later would be ready to fully blossom. Because what the world is calling for now is a very mature integration, interpretation of what was coming through in the 1960s, early 70s. That was very immature. Everybody was into their crazy hippie, Hare Krishna, whatever. You know, communes popping up all over the place. It was child play, okay? It was not adolescent yet, it was child play with this radiant truth, okay? Okay, so in what was keenly important, you know, what I want to offer today as we move forward is that what happened after that summer of love, 1967, what would happen over the ensuing decades is the opportunity, because we were becoming ready to integrate the darkness. Remember the Taoist symbol, the light and the dark. So here's this beautiful light coming through saying, you are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here, desiderata, remember? That beautiful light that was coming through would become strong enough and mature enough in those of us that grew up with it to then hold it, the darkness, all of this dark energy that would come through that's utterly necessary. And in this time, it's almost unspeakably dark. But that's the dark before the dawn, okay? It's almost dawn here. I like to speak every day when I can with you just before the dawn, because it's the darkest time. It's the time that seems most without hope. Okay, so here I am, one splinter of this light, telling you without equivocation that there's more than hope. There's faith, there's trust, there's a knowing in me and in others like me around the planet saying, everything's okay. This is what a doula does. A doula is helping the death and rebirth of our collective consciousness. Our species is dying and being reborn. Okay, I mentioned Homo erectus, gone. Homo sapien, in the process of being exterminated. Homo glimulus, here we are. This is the age of Aquarius, okay? Homo glimulus is our new species. You can join with me and others who are clearly proclaiming their identity as a member of Homo glimulus, and we move forward together. Or if you're not ready to be the butterfly, then you'll make the choice to get off the planet. And hundreds of millions, actually several billion, will choose to leave the planet. It's too much for them to step into this new earth. It's not comfortable for them. They're not, evolution is all about that. It's about the old comforts disappear, things become uncomfortable enough. You evolve or you die. It's just the exact nature of evolution. Evolve or die, evolve or die. I mean, both is a death, right? So this is what my whole program of conscious dying is all about, helping people to consciously die. Drop the body, die. Don't drop the body, die. Either way, you're dying, okay? There's no more you. There's no more egoic you. The egoic you doesn't have a place in a new earth, okay? There's no egoic entities. It doesn't mean we don't still carry a body. Doesn't mean we don't have a person, but that's not our identity. Our identity is shifted. Okay, mine is Sun King, Sun King, Sun King. Louis Bourgeois, that was the name for my human person. The human person is my communication device, essential, body, person, communication device. An essential part of the teaching of A Course in Miracles is what you are. What is your body? What is your person? It's a communication device for your higher self, for your Christ mind, for your Buddha nature, for the unmanifested uses you. You're a tool being used by God, by any name. Always has been, always was headed in this direction. So this evolution is so important to pay attention. We'll talk about more details, more details, more details. But the point was, what happened in 65 to 72 planted a seed, a powerful seed that underground would be quietly germinating, maturing, so that it was ready to care for the planet in the 2020s. Okay, this decade is critical for us, those bright lights, to shine, to stand steadfast, and just allow the darkness to envelop the old. As it crumbles, the darkness will consume all that's not fit for our new evolution. That's a good thing. We want that. We want to bless it, embrace it with great compassion and care, and then birth the new. Again, like Buckminster Fuller said, don't spend any of your resources fighting against the old forms as they crumble. Allow them to crumble. Put all of your resources into building something new. That's what we're doing, you and I, here today, building something new. Blessing. I love you. Talk again soon, like tomorrow, which is today.